everyone, welcome to Sauce's Best Catering. I am Chef Charlene Sauce, or to those of you familiar with me, Charlene the Shield. Please remember to like and subscribe to my YouTube channel, and soon on my blog we'll be offering a paid recipe section and also a teaching class via video that you can sign up for. But in the meantime, be sure to like and subscribe today to Sauce's Best Catering, and on YouTube you'll find me as Charlene Sauce. Hello everyone. Hey there. So I had let some oil and a little bit of water come to a nice little rise here. So this is the start of my risotto. We are now pouring in some vintage cooking wine, white. Put a little bit of that in there. Let that do its thing. I'm going to keep the burner on about 4. And I'm going to get my ladle, because I don't know if you've ever made risotto or not, but we got to keep scooping in liquid here. So we're just going to give it a stir here. And for the risotto rice, this is what I use. You can order it by the box. It came with 4 in the box from Amazon. This is an Italian style risotto for risotto dishes. I know some people make it with regular rice, but I really wanted it to be as it should be, so that's what we're using. So just gonna let this do this a little longer. Now I'll tell you the secret of this, because of course I'm not gonna sit here and do this like with y'all on here the whole time. So risotto takes about 30 minutes to cook. This is like where you want the starch. The starch needs to be in there, okay? Because you want it to be nice and creamy. Now, side note, I have fresh Parmesan cheese, a block of it. But I have elected against doing that today for time purposes. This is just a quick dinner. I might shave some of it on top though, for beauty and for plating at the end. Alright, so we've got that going. We're going to get our first ladle. Now in this, because I didn't have a meat to make a broth, I made like an onion and herb broth. It's got some tomato in it, some arugula, a whole sweet white onion to give it seasoning, some smoked paprika, a little bit of oil, some rosemary, and some ground coriander with a little bit of tarragon vinegar. Just so you know all of what is going into the stock that I'm pouring in to my risotto. I'm going to do 2 scoops on this first one. Oh, it also has some peppers in there for flavor also. Alright. You know, there are a lot of things we get to leave the stove when we're cooking, but risotto is not one where you want to play that game. You want to be stirring and watching this. Let me get you over it so you can see kind of how it's looking now on the first go round. So that is basically what's happening now, and I'll be back once this cooks down some, and it's next time to add the next ladle, just so you can see the process. Okay, I just want to bring you in so you can see most of that first dose of liquid is gone, right? So it is now time. Let's stir it just a couple more times. And now we're going to do it again. The same process we did a few minutes ago. I'm using my largest ladle. Look at the size of the ladle. This is not your smaller ladle. And I'm doing 2 ladles each time. Alright? 2 lovely ladles each time. And then you're just going to keep stirring. You have to keep stirring this. This whole process takes about half an hour or so. On the last dose is when we're going to add the cheese. We're not going to do it now because it'll thicken way too much. All right? So I'll be back in a few. Alexa, pause. All right, guys. So while we're stirring this, and I'm going to be pulling out my cast iron stovetop grill in a few once the risotto is done to my liking. We're getting our sauce ready that's going to go on these T-bone steaks. Use a little whole buttermilk, a stick of butter. We're also going to add just an itsy bitsy tarragon vinegar to match the flavors that we put into the broth. That is in the risotto, which I still want to keep stirring because you don't want any of it to scorch and go, go crazy on the bottom there, and keep going there. We're going to add creamy poppy seed. I have blue cheese, but I do not like using that unless I have crumbled blue cheese for my steak. So instead, we are going with the poppy seed. You're going to need a whisk because you're going to whisk this all together. You're going to get some oil to make it emulsify. You can use oil or you can use a syrup, but we're going to use oil because we don't want this to be sweet. Mixing up this risotto. Get ready to give it 2 more ladles here in a minute. We're going to put a little bit of rosemary in here also. Alright. And like I said, we like to match flavors, right? But we don't want to change the color too much. So just a little bit of smoked paprika. People have been telling me they really like watching me make sauces and gravies. And when I first started, one of the things I was supposed to be doing was making 6 flavors of sauces I could sell. They've been on my website forever. I just never got around to making them. So, I'm going to hope I get around to that soon. Alright. And we're also, just to loosen this some, going to add a little bit of this white cooking wine. And the only thing left still that needs to go in there before I begin to whisk, some olive oil. And this is going to be what we drizzle over top of our steak. Put this back on my shelf. Alright. Turn burner on. We're only going to put it on like 3 or so because it doesn't need to go high. Do a little whisking. Whisking with both hands. You see it? Skills. Skills. So what happens when you're the only one in the kitchen? No other set of hands. Sometimes you just got to go for it on your own. Alright? So, it is time again to add us some ladles. One again. I want to leave the vegetables in the bottom because I'm actually going to use the vegetables that I used to make the stock to garnish my steak plates. And this time I'm going to give just like 2.5 ladles. Now stir this, keep stirring it like so. It smells really good in here. And just so you can see how this emulsifies and comes together as you stir it, let me hold it over so you can see. You want to keep doing that so that it blends and doesn't separate. And we're going to keep doing that as the heat goes. I'll be back in a bit. So also in this, I separated the egg white from the yolk and added while stirring. You cannot stop stirring. You'll have scrambled eggs. Keep stirring and add the egg white to give it sort of a thickness. Might end up with little yolk just on the whisk, but within the sauce itself, we're good. I don't have a spoon right now available to get you, but there, you can see it on that is good. Whatever stuck to this thing stuck, and I'm going to wash it off so it doesn't stay in there. You want to just get that off your whisk, and you want to keep stirring, and you're going to take it off. Because otherwise you'll have scrambled eggs, and that is definitely not what we want. want a nice sauce to go over our steak meat when we're done. Now I'm still whisking, even though I'm standing way over here. I'm still whisking. All right. So we're going to put a top on it. That top does not fit. I don't think I still have the top that actually goes to this pan. So for safekeeping, we're going to set it above head in the extra microwave that I don't use until we are actually ready to cook. To use that. I got my eggs boiling. I'm going to turn my griddle down to low since we are not ready to use it. So normally you cook your proteins first. Everyone knows that. You cook whatever takes the longest first. But I almost forgot to boil the deviled eggs. And what took the longest actually in this situation, absolutely positively, would have been the risotto. It's a half an hour standstill stir job. So that would have taken the longest. So I'll be back in a bit. I also made some croutons, which I'm about to grab out of the oven now. We're going to sear here. I normally prefer a reverse sear, which means you start in the oven, then bring the steak to the griddle. But today I'm going to do the reverse. I'm going to do a regular sear, start on the oven first, then put them in the oven just for a few minutes to make sure that they're actually done inside.
Start on the stove
and that we're going to start on the stove. I'm sorry, I might have said it backwards. And then go into the oven, and just to make sure we really get the right temperature inside and that we also seal in those juices. Remember, however long your cooking time is, you need to divide that in half for your resting time. So if you cook something for 6 minutes, your meat has to rest for 3 minutes before you cut it so you don't lose the juice. Some meats, like steaks, will keep cooking internally. So it's best to almost kind of stop them 6 to 8 degrees under, because they're going to heat up internally while they are resting, if that makes sense to you. So I'll be back in a bit. All right, I have my eggs, my hard-boiled eggs all done. Everything else is done. So you know what time it is now, don't you? It is time to make the steak. Literally everything else is done. Mise en place is your friend. And that's what I use today. Everything was already pre-chopped. Steaks were pre-marinated. That's what you want to hear. We call it the round of applause in the culinary world. Also keeping this water going because, honey, the marinade is going to have your hands a couple of colors here. These are Tbone Steak, and I've already got my oven preheating so that we're ready to go in the oven after the sear. So I just wanted to show you these. Look how beautiful they are. And you want to generally cook 3 minutes each side for a nice medium rare. So we're going to do 3 minutes per side. Keep all your utensils close too, makes your life easier. 3 minutes per side this way into the already preheated oven, just to make sure they're done in the correct temperature throughout. Take them out, let them rest, and then you're going to do this really pretty thing where you cut it off the bone and slice it and position it back on the bone on the plate. So I'll be back to show you that in a bit. Alright, this is so you can see what it looks like after you flip it over. The nice sear, the nice color. Absolutely beautiful. And the taste of the marinade. I can't even explain to y'all how good it is. Now, the grain goes this way. So we're going to cut against the grain. First, we're going to take the bone out, like I said. Because for plating, to make it pretty, you're going to place the slices back around the bone. Got it? Good. Be back in a bit. I just want to show you this. Waiting for this last steak before I close the oven door. Right now, we're just grilling the vegetables to make them so they're really pretty for plating. This guy don't want to cooperate. We got the peppers on here too, getting a nice little scorch on them. You'll see them better once they're on the plate. But we're still getting a real good sear on the steak. We're not quite there yet. And then we're going to close the door and let them all do their thing. So I just wanted to show you that. We'll be back in a bit. Alright, so this is my daughter's plate. Did hers first today because his is going to have more stuff on it. We got the salad with some poppy dressing, my homemade croutons. We've got a creamy bed of smoky risotto. We've got perfect medium rare, nice and pink Tbone steak cut off the bone. And we've got my own personal sauce. A sauce that's separating somewhat, but tastes really good. Okay, on this one, you're going to get to see me actually plating it. So you can see I got the creamy risotto. We got the T-bone. I just want to show you a close-up of this perfectly cooked steak. It rested perfectly. Look how pink and beautiful that is. Perfect medium rare. And then you just want to start placing. And I got to wipe this thing off, honey. I've been cleaning this plate the whole time to the best of my ability. But whenever something's red, it is a nightmare. And yes, that's clean because I've been using it for this one plate, okay? That's not something that was just laying around, folks. And we started wrong. Your shorter pieces are at the bottom because you're basically just reassembling your steak as it was on the bone before you did all of this other stuff to it. In this situation, I'm going to do this plate a little different because I want the risotto to show. So we're just kind of going to move these out, and we are going to end up cleaning this plate again. You want to turn it up so they can see that pretty pink side there off the bone. Just kind of try to keep layering these. At a restaurant, hopefully you'd have a larger plate. I don't like how those look. When you don't like how something looks, don't put it on the plate. You, the cook, get to eat it. 1 second. Yeah, that's like one thing about me for sure. If I don't like how it looks, I eat it. That doesn't get plated. Also, you don't plate these tough, like fat things. You cut them off too. I had to go get more tissue. Right? 1 second. Alright, so went over, we got a couple of those roasted vegetables that we made. We also put some of our sauce that we made on here. I like getting up any excess oil and moisture before I give a plate out to someone. Clean it off, clean it off. Alright, next up is your salad bed. Alright. Just like so. You know what? I forgot to give my daughter her eggs on her salad. Oops. I'll call her in a few and take care of that. Oh, I forgot to give my baby her eggs. Hard-boiled eggs. Just to give it some beauty here. You can give the person as many as you like. With just a little bit of your homemade croutons, like so. This is the messiest meal, let me tell you. Everything's just so juicy, which is good, but wow. All right, again, we're cleaning off our plate like so. Sealing up these eggs so that my kid can come out here and get some. We're just sealing up everything. I had everything like pre-ready to go for this. All right, then we're gonna put just a little cheese on that salad also. And then the last thing we're going to do, I'm gonna put a little bit of that on there. That's poppy seed dressing. And we're just gonna give just a couple of sprigs around the plate to make it pretty, like so. And I'll show you the plate in a second here. Alright guys, here is the finished serious plate. I want you to see the pink of the meat. This camera's making colors look darker than they are. That's a much lighter pink. It's like the perfect medium rare. We got our beautiful salad. We got that creamy risotto. We've got a grilled poblano and onion. And we got that lovely sauce on our Tbone steak. My daughter's opening something this loud. But there you go, you can see.